Hi, I'm Hannah, and I work for the Department of Philosophy at the University of Toronto Scarborough. I've had the opportunity to interview students who are taking philosophy courses this semester and ask them their thoughts on online learning. In these interviews, students share their online learning experience from things they've liked to things they found challenging. Whether you are an instructor or student, I hope this video provides some insight on the student online learning experience. Have you had prior experience with online learning?
A little bit. I did some online learning during grade 12 where during the summer I did English, grade 12 English.
So I had absolutely no prior experience with online learning.
When the whole COVID thing started in March, I think we moved everything to online. So I was still taking 5 courses online where everyone had to suddenly shift all their lectures online as well as assignments and labs. I took some courses in the summer where it was also some of the profs for first time doing an entire online lecturing as well as examinations too. And this semester is still online.
What is the course structure of the courses you are taking now, i.e., are they synchronous or asynchronous?
They're all basically the same. They're all synchronous. The readings, they're about the same as before. But yeah, it's basically the same except for you're not actually in a physical classroom.
So some of them are asynchronous, some of them are synchronous. Most of them are asynchronous actually, and I really like it because I can do my lectures on my own time.
So I'm split right in the middle, so I have 2 synchronous and 2 asynchronous.
How has your learning or study environment changed?
So for me, a lot of my environment has stayed pretty much the same because I do most of my studying at my desk in my bedroom, but I have been able to kind of mix it up in a way that I probably wouldn't have during a regular school year. So I do sometimes study in my kitchen. I'll hang out with my mom and we'll do some work together. I sometimes still go to a Starbucks to study because it's nice to get out of the house because we're all tired of being stuck inside.
So this is my new home office, which is very cool.
It is very cool.
Definitely has grown in time, painted it, colored it, made it my own.
My environment has changed. Instead of being in Toronto, I'm currently in Vancouver, British Columbia. And so I'm now at home instead of just my home outside of campus. And completely shifted rooms because I wasn't expecting to be home and living here for any time soon. But yeah, my environment's changed quite a bit from me spending 12 hours on campus to spending my whole day at home now.
What is something unexpected about online learning?
I think it's communicating with professors. So when I was in person, I was the person that liked to talk to my professors or I would like to ask them questions on my personal time. I would go up to them in the middle of class if we have a break and ask them a question. So when everything turned online, that was different because I didn't that communication aspect totally changed. Here it's messaging through Zoom. It's communicating with your prof. So it's different in that sense. It was really unexpected. I feel like they're willing to answer more questions now that it's online because rather than having to think up their answer on the spot like you would in class, they can give you a thoughtful answer to something that you don't understand, which I found unexpected because I've been getting better responses from profs nowadays than I did when I was in person.
I thought I would procrastinate more. I honestly thought that I would have a hard time doing the scheduling and that I would end up procrastinating a lot more, but I haven't. I've kept my schedule and I make sure that everything works. So, and I think the biggest surprising thing is the amount that we have been able to make a community online instead of because I thought for sure that it wouldn't be as interactive, but it has ended up being a lot more interactive than I thought that it ever would be, for sure.
It's more on you to be on top of your schoolwork, because before you'd go on campus and then you'd already have your day set out. Luckily for me, I have synchronous learning, but when I don't have that, I'll have to make my own schedule, follow a schedule, you really have to be on top of your work because it's very easy to just like go upstairs and go take a nap.
I never thought I would hear the dial-up button, but with everyone being online, there actually is internet connection issues, which is very funny. I'm sure this will change in the next coming years with 5G, but I have seen pixely people. I have been one of those pixely people in a class. I have thought at one point that students were just trying to like not engage in the chats because they'd say, oh, my audio, or I have a dog, or I have this, but you start to realize very quickly that this is actual reality for many people. They can't put their audio on because they have a pet, or they live in a large household, or maybe it's the wrong time, just so happens that tutorial falls at the wrong time for this person.
What is something you've liked about online learning?
One thing I really liked about online learning is that I live really far from campus. So I feel like if it was in person, I would waste a lot of time like using transportation, buses and stuff like that. But since it's online, I can just use that time that I could be spending on the bus studying at home.
Just saving the 2-hour commute every day and saving money, I like more.
I used to drive to university every day, an hour back, which is a lot of gas and a lot of money spent on gas.
I really enjoyed not having to commute to class. Like before, yeah, I had to drive, so that's like at least 30 minutes, and then I have to focus during driving, so it takes a bit of energy.
I like the fact that I can study while having my cat next to me, that I didn't see in 3 years. That I can talk to my, I'm a very shy person. I'm very timid. And so, it's easier for me to talk to my professor and really like tell them what's in my heart while talking to them remotely.
I like the fact that like professors have sort of like the understanding everything, but they're also very considerate of everyone and like their time zones. So there's multiple tutorial times, there's alternate tutorial times.
Take it back to the time management skill. I feel like I've really improved on that because I also work, and yes, making sure that I have time for everything, time for myself. Yeah.
So you've liked how, because of online learning, your time management skills have gotten better?
Yes.
Is that what I'm getting?
Yes, that's what I meant.
What is something you found challenging about online learning? And have you found a solution to your challenge?
What I found challenging about online learning is the accessibility to the profs and the TAs. I feel like that's something that I still struggle with, but it's been like a work in progress. I feel like it's so much easier when you I like personal to person connection. When I go and I want to meet someone, I want to do it in person because I feel like I could just read their expression and read like the type of person they are. So I always love that. But in terms of like assignment stuff, I feel like the profs have been so useful and so helpful in reaching out and helping. Every prof has been able to give us deadline, like extensions on like any deadlines, to talk, to give feedback. But overall, they've been really understanding, and I really appreciate that because it almost feels like it's still in person.
The thing I found challenging is actually having to sit down in front of a computer for so long. Actually, it's very draining on my eyes, and I get huge headaches when I stand in front of a computer. So it has been very difficult in that department. How I remedied it would be that I got a very powerful blue light filter on my computer, and that helps with the harshness of the light. And I try to go for walks as much as I can.
I think a challenge that I've found, which like a lot of students can relate to, is procrastination. And it's so much easier to push things to the side now that it's like online learning, and you keep pushing it, you keep watching YouTube or Netflix, and suddenly it's already like 12 a.m. and your assignment's due tomorrow. But as long as you make a list of what you need to do, at least that works for me, right? And there's a lot more different solutions for other people, but I found that for me and my friends is that you make like a priority list that you need to do and try to follow the list as best as you can, and cross the things out one at a time and you see that like little things build up, and at the end of the day, you'll be fine.
What is something you wish you knew about online learning before the semester started?
So one thing I wish I knew about online learning before the semester started would be to treat your courses as if they were being taught live and in person. I wish that someone told me how important it was to keep a schedule and to keep up with your lectures and assignments, because if you're not keeping up with them, they could pile up and you may be overwhelmed at the end.
Before the semester started, I was pretty worried about how my classes would work, how the philosophy classes would change. I was worried I wouldn't get as much learning done, basically. I remember during grade 12, during my English class, I don't know if that specifically was not the best of classes, but I felt like either it was too easy or basically not a lot of learning was done. But here, I don't feel like a lot has changed in terms of how much I'm learning. First year, I feel like I learned a lot, and this year I'm still learning a lot.
I wish I knew that it would be. I thought that if I'm gonna be studying online, it would be hard for me to communicate with others and make new friends and things like that. But I realized that professors actually try to make, like, study groups, or make groups for students to get to know each other. So it's not true when people say, if you're online, you're going to be isolated, you're not going to be talking to people. That's not true. It's also for student clubs. Like I joined student clubs, and it's online. You could still meet and make new friends. So.
What is a piece of advice you would give someone who is going to be taking online learning?
I think that's something really important to know when you're going into online courses, is that you should have everything you need to do lined up. Like, you should be familiar with what assignments are coming up, when due dates are, because you're responsible for a lot of the assignments, and you're kind of expected to handle things on your own in a way that's a bit different, because you're not really around other students as much who can kind of hold you accountable, since you're kind of relying on yourself. Is to make sure that you have something to remind you of your due dates. Make sure you have something to remind you when upcoming tests are. For example, a calendar, reminders on your phone, just anything to pretty much keep you on track.
So normally at the start of a semester, when I go into class for the first time, like if it's in person, I sit down, I look around at who's beside me and think, who should I study with for the rest of the semester, or try to find someone to study with. Since we can't do that for online, you want to find like some type of group chat. Like generally it's posted, people make one and post it on the chat or whatever. You want to join one and find maybe a couple people, not too many, but just a couple people that you can work with for the rest of the semester.
You have to get involved, and you cannot get involved without really making initiatives. So please, like during the lecture, during classes, turn on your micro, participate. I know I'm a shy person, I know how it feels like, but you have to force yourself, get off your comfort zone, and turn on your camera, let your professor get familiar with your face, let her know you, and do not miss opportunities, attend office hours.
My advice to a first-year student would be to take advantage as much as they can of all of the resources that there are online, and to try to connect with others, because it really depends on how much we try to connect with others. Since we're technically alone, we have to make the first step. So whether it be in a tutorial or with your profs, to really engage, to turn your camera on, to turn your microphone on. If your micro camera doesn't work, to write in the chat, to try to even make group chats with your other peers, to really make a step, because it's not going to come to you by itself.
Final comments.
Just University of Toronto is a very inclusive place, and I am that older person that is in there, and most of my fellow students are a lot younger than me and everything else, and but it's so inclusive and it works for everybody, and everybody is so kind and accepting and everything else, and use the group chats, talk to your fellow students, and you will have a wonderful time no matter what.
Make sure you have a really strong support system. Don't do it all on your own, because the strongest of strongest people will feel a little bit threatened by this time. Like even me, like I'm trying so hard to keep it together, and we're all trying over here, but it's like you know, little things will impact you. So really, if you're going into next year online, really evaluate like, hey, how am I going to approach this to gain maximum success? And you have all these resources, like, you know, you can always message upper year people, alumni, you always have those resources available on Facebook pages, or profs are so useful. Yeah, I just want to emphasize that, you know, there's resources, use them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff.